Hi there, everybody. Peter Greenberg here for August 11th, 2022. I hope you're having a great time wherever you happen to be. We're broadcasting today from a very warm Fort Myers, Florida, where they're going to set a temperature record today of about 96 degrees, right about now, as a matter of fact. So I hope you're cooler where you are than where we are, but we're still having a great time here. Of course, if you've got any comments to give me, you know how to do it. Send them in. We'll get to all your questions during the show. But first, let's talk about some stuff in the news. And interestingly enough, it's sort of a little retrospective time today. It's not really a big trivia question, but I'm going to show you a photo. Let's put it up there right now. There it is. You'll see me in there. The question is, when was this taken and where was this taken? See if you guys can figure out. There's my dad, my sister, me, and my mom. Long time ago, I might add. Where and when was this taken? And there was another piece of significance to the date when it was taken as well, which I'll share with you when we come back. But now let's get back to some news items, and I'll give you another trivia question later. But I just wanted to show that up there because it's an anniversary this month in August. Okay, airfares are continuing to drop. I talked about it last week. They're really dropping now. This week alone, they're 27% lower than they were just in May. Now, they're still about 20% higher than they were in 2019, but they are going down. Next week, they're going to go down about another 20%, and we're talking about flights that started about September 8th. And to give you an idea of how far they're going down, I did some research today. I just picked some flights at random. These are one-way flights. Jacksonville to LaGuardia on September 10th, about $52. LAX to JFK on September 10th, how about $152? And then if you're going overseas, they're dropping precipitously as well. Newark to Lisbon, round trip $538. Aer Lingus will have some discounts as well across the board to Ireland, but it's going to drop across the board for the rest of the world starting now, but for flights starting September 8th. So get that right. Now, the other reason why they're dropping, nobody really wants to talk about it, but I will. Americans, and you know who you're talking about you too, we decided we were going to travel this year at any cost. Emphasis on the words at any cost. We were bound and determined to get out of town, and we didn't care about how much we were going to spend. Well, we're caring about it now because those credit card bills are coming in, and there's serious sticker shock across the board. And for a lot of Americans, not all, but for a lot of Americans, we're saying, okay, we had our fun. We're going to hold back travel for the rest of 2022. That's why airfares and forward-looking bookings are basically jumping off a cliff. So if you're a strategic and smart traveler and you have any money left in your bank account, now's a good time to be booking those flights. Now, when I talked about credit card bills coming in, let me tell you how big the bills are. In the last month, credit card balances of Americans have grown $48 billion. That's the biggest rise in 20 years. And at the same time, we've been on a rampage to apply for new credit cards. Between April and June, we applied for we opened 233 million accounts, new credit card accounts. That's new credit, new unsecured credit. That's the biggest number since 2008. So it's going to get a little crazy out there. Interest rates aren't going down. So be aware of the fact that we have sticker shock. Plus, we got to pay for the travel we did do. That may explain why many of us aren't going to be traveling between now and the end of the year. Anyway, now you know those figures. Okay? Now, a couple of weeks ago, I showed you a picture of one of my favorite takeoffs and favorite landings. It was in St. Martin. You know St. Martin. And I'm going to show you the video of one of the landings, one of the takeoffs, where you literally see people blown away. And then I'll show you what happened earlier this week on the Greek island of Skatios with a Wizz airplane that came in. Pretty wild. Let's start first with St. Martin. People were literally blown away. All kidding aside, some people have been killed there during those takeoffs, blown into walls. And there's a sign. That's a Delta flight land. Look, there's a sign right there at the beach that says, "Don't stand here." and everybody stands there. They just can't get enough of it. There's a bar off to the right side of that photograph that where people mostly sit to get the shot and they have fun. But now, if you think that was a tough takeoff or landing, look what just happened this week with a Wizz Air plane coming in to the Greek island of Skathios. Let's show that shot. Is that low enough for you? That's how low it clears the beach. But you know, it's been going on there for a while. This is their inaugural flight on an Airbus 321. But to get an idea of how hairy those landings are, look at this British Airways flight coming in. Whoops. He's a little low. Somehow he made it. Runway is not short there, and you have to be fully committed to land there. Otherwise, you're not going to stop. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you. And now let's talk about one thing we'll talk about as well is the continuing problem with baggage. Airlines have been cutting back on flights, as you know, especially in Europe. It's still a madness over there. And to give you an idea how crazy it is, remember I talked a couple weeks ago about my own experience at the Dublin airport, where I got there at 3 o'clock in the morning for a 6:30 flight, a 1-hour flight to London, and the lines were already into the street, and it took me 2 hours and 30 minutes to get to the plane. I almost missed it. Well, the folks in Ireland thought, well, we're going to show you how we're improving the numbers and how the delays are only 20 minutes, not 2.5 hours. And you know how they did it? This is just wrong. They estimated the wait time once you got inside the terminal. Anything outside the terminal they didn't care about. But the line stretched outside the terminal for almost a mile some days. I mean, it's crazy, right? So those statistics don't help anybody. They still have a mess there. It's no different, and this really got me angry last week, than the head of Heathrow blaming scammers, if you will, for figuring out a travel hack, which I happen to oppose, and you should too for moral grounds, with people asking for wheelchair assistance. We talk about miracle flights. Every flight attendant knows what I'm talking about. It's how many people ask for wheelchair assistance when they're checking in for a flight, which means they don't have the opportunity to ask you to prove your disability. They give you the wheelchair. So that means you're going to check in first at the counter. You're going to go through security first. You're going to go through and they're going to go through the jetway first. Well, when you land and you have 25 attendants out there with wheelchairs, and all of a sudden everybody who had a wheelchair going on the flight is now standing and running off the plane. Therefore, it's a miracle flight. They had no disability at all. It's just terrible. It disenfranchises the people who have a real disability. But during this madness at the airports, it seems like anybody who wanted to was claiming they had a disability to get the wheelchair assistance. I get that. I don't like it. I get it. But then the head of Heathrow comes out and says, well, the reason why they had so many problems with Heathrow is that so many people were asking for wheelchairs. That's like blaming the men on the Titanic for quickly changing into women's clothing so they could get into the lifeboats first for the Titanic hitting the iceberg. No, it hit the iceberg. And the same thing happened at Heathrow. You didn't have enough staff to begin with. It's apples and oranges. Anyway, that's what's going on with that. But then, of course, we still have the baggage issue. You have some airports not even accepting bags anymore. Amsterdam is one of them for connecting flights or any flights. Until September 8th, I think the only people who should be flying are people who are fugitives from justice or members of the Witness Relocation Program, because I'm presuming you're flying very light. Here's give an idea of how bad it is. We talked about Europe. In Australia, Qantas executives are being told, not asked, told, this is senior management, that they have to work 3 days a week loading bags. Wow. They should be doing that every week. Actually, they should be doing every process that we go through at the airport every week. Every airline should do that simply because they finally get an idea of how the rest of us have to go through stuff while they're sitting in their offices contemplating God knows what. Anyway, that'll give you an idea of what's going on there. Let's go to the screen and get to some of your questions and hellos. I'm going to scroll up here. Okay. All right. Okay. Jim and Harriet coming back from Portugal. Hello from Alabama to Katrina. Okay. Hello from beautiful Los Angeles. Is it 96 degrees there like it is here in Fort Myers? We'll find out. Priya's back from she actually is in Irvine. Okay. And of course, we've got Uganda on the line here, Bellingham, Washington. Hello from Tanzania. Hello from Tampa, where it's probably as warm as it is here. Okay. Hi from Williamsburg to Colleen. Another Tanzania. Venice in Venice. Which Venice? California or Italy? All right. Robin from Williamsburg. Okay. Another Tanzania, folks. Okay. Outer Banks. That's Michelle. Here we go. Colleen is calling from, Colleen has an answer. Okay. From St. Mark's Square. That's the photo I showed you of my family vacation. Colleen, you're right. But now let me give you some context because it's a trivia question. And why is it important and why is it an anniversary? I'm going to date myself now. This picture was taken August 4th, 1962. 60 years ago this month. It wasn't St. Mark's Square. You have to know it's that because of all the pigeons. But what was also significant about that, because about 2 minutes after this photo was taken, I was walking not far from where you're seeing this right now, where they had a little newsstand. And that's where I saw the headlines that Marilyn Monroe had died. That's right, 60 years ago this month. And so there you go. My very first trip overseas with my parents. We flew on Pan Am. We first landed at Orly. And a funny story about that, as we came in for a landing, we had to circle because there was a problem on the runway. And I was so excited about my new experience, I threw up. That's the last time I ever threw up on a plane, but it was my first jet flight. And my mom had dressed me up too. So there you have it. Bottom line, that's where it was taken. Now you know the trivia answer. It was St. Mark's Square in Venice, August 1962. And I've been back many, many times since. But anyway, that was my first. Okay, let's keep going back to the screen. More greetings from Tanzania. Here we go. Hello from Kentucky. Okay, in the upper 90s, Patty says from Kentucky. 84 degrees in Las Vegas. I'll be there later this week. Okay, we've got booked an this is from Pat, booked an international flight from Istanbul to Almaty, I should say, on Turkish Air in economy. Website says I can't get an upgrade until check-in or only with miles. That's how they do it at Turkish Air, last minute. And you know what? Get a map. From Istanbul to Almaty, stay in the back of the plane. No big deal, okay? Hello to Sue. Paul says, greetings from Ashland, Virginia. Touring Iceland in February. Good idea? Iceland in February? Why? I mean, unless you're an off-season. Oh, look, the only thing that's good about it is there won't be crowds, okay? Which means you can really enjoy it. Just dress warmly and also realize that your average daylight time is limited, right? It's going to get dark around 2:30 in the afternoon and maybe only light at about 9:30 in the morning. So limited daylight time, which means there will be a lot of drinking going on. So don't be a driver and watch where you're going. But listen, I like Iceland any time of the year. Okay, a couple people are now guessing St. Mark's Square, which we just talked about it. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm going down here. Greetings from Huntington Beach, Surf City, USA, just back from Alaska. Hello, Adrian. Okay, more folks from Tanzania. Okay, Robin said she thought the photo was taken in Spain in 1963. Nope, Italy, 1962. Hello from Tulsa. Heading to Marco Island in September, going through Fort Myers. Of course you are. Fort Myers, you'll find, it's a great jumping off spot for Naples and Sanibel and of course, Marco Island. You're saying hi from Tulsa. I'll be in Tulsa later this month. Greetings from Rwanda from my friend Peter. From Joy, hi Peter, going to the DR, okay, on October 10th. When should I book my travel? I would book your travel in about 10 days, right? Around August 20, 21st. That's when you're going to start to see some fares go down because you're going during shoulder season, October 10th, right? So you should be okay. Good morning from sunny Minnesota. Okay, greetings. Okay. Elizabeth says, St. Mark's in 1961. Very close, 1962. Okay, Peter Christensen, greetings from beautiful Madison, Wisconsin. We know that. Okay, here we go. You want to welcome me back to Rwanda? I'll be back there very soon, as a matter of fact. Okay, when is the best time to book an Alaskan cruise for September 2023? Is there a cruise line that you would recommend? Well, if you take a look at the history of Alaska cruises, the guys who really have figured out the infrastructure up there have been Princess. They've been doing not just the cruises, but the land infrastructure as well. I might add, however, it's good that you're going next year because Princess just canceled 11 sailings out of California, in this case, San Diego, because they had no crew. I mean, it's not just limited to hotels and airlines. So by that time, hopefully things will stabilize. Princess does a great job if you want to go on one of the bigger ships. Smaller ships, see if Silver Sea has an itinerary, or Azamara, or Seabourn. It's more expensive, but more intimate. Plus, they can go to places that some of the big ships can't get into. Hello from steamy New Jersey. Hi, Gail. Okay. All right, SeaTac Airport. Someone else saying SeaTac Airport was crazy last Sunday. The security lines for departure reached down to luggage. Oh, hour and 40 minutes to see it through. Yep, I know the problem. It's going to stay that way till September, guys, whether you like it or not. Patty's saying the landings in St. Bart's are similar. Actually, they're not, Patty. What happened? The angle of attack is somewhat similar because the airport does a dip. You hold on to your seat. Once you land in St. Martin, it's a pretty flat landing. When you land in St. Bart's, it's a roller coaster and a very short runway. Okay. All right. Hello from Tennessee to Sherry. Greetings from Copenhagen to Celeste. Nancy saying, how can I access my video call to take my COVID test to board my cruise? I have no idea what you're talking about because I don't know how many cruise lines are still requiring an additional COVID test other than proof of vaccination. So let me know a little more information. Rick saying hi from Columbus, Georgia. Lois is saying, is a 2-hour connection time in Charles de Gaulle to Rabat doable? Yes, if you're a member of the cast of Cirque du Soleil. Look, you want to give yourself at least 3 hours. You're changing terminals more than likely. It's not easy at Charles de Gaulle. It never has been easy, and now it's even crazier, especially with connecting bags. I'm presuming you're checking a bag all the way through. Give yourself 3 hours. Terry says, hi from Madison. You talked about the staffing problems at the Lisbon airport, causing serious delays getting through security. They claim that they've hired lots of staff recently to solve the problem. Do you know if that's actually true? I don't, because they haven't told you which staff. That's the problem. Is it passport control staff? That's one of the biggest problems. When you have 26 inspection stations and all the flights land at like between 5 and 7:30 in the morning, and you have thousands of people going through, and there are only 2 inspection stations staffed, that's not helping, right? They need to, it's not a question of hiring more staff, it's a question of using more staff at times when you have peak times. There are no surprises that the planes all land in the morning. That's how it's been done since 1954. Let me know if you know anything different. But right now, I don't have a lot of faith that they've done that yet because you're dealing with different ministries. That's the other big problem in Portugal and other countries. The transportation secretary or minister doesn't talk to the travel and tourism minister. They don't realize they're both in the same game. So, and then there's a union problem as well. Okay. Hello from Tanzania. Again to John, to Peter. Gail says, I'm in the market for a Panama Canal cruise for next March, April. Any preference for a cruise line? And what is the best? Well, it's more than a Panama Canal cruise. It's where you're going before and where you're going after, right? It's not just the actual crossing of the canal. So I need a little more information as to what you really want to do. Okay. Adrian says, our Delta flight from Seattle to Juneau almost didn't make it. We're a mile away when the pilot powered up fast. Fog. We flew on to Anchorage, refueled, and then returned. Well, you know what? There's an old saying that the altitude above you doesn't really matter. So good that he had the altitude below him to pull up in time. And he did the right thing, or she did the right thing. It reminds me of a very funny story that I'll share with you. When Richard Nixon signed one of the nuclear accords in Russia with Brezhnev, right about a month and a half before he resigned back in August of 1974. But it was an important agreement. And Vice President Gromyko, remember him, takes him to the airport. And this is not in Moscow. And Nixon was flying on to another location in Russia. And international protocol requires that if you are flying as a head of state to a country, you can fly on your airplane. But if you're flying within the country, you fly on their airplane. And the same thing here in the United States. If the Pope is coming or a foreign leader is coming, they will fly on their aircraft to the United States. But if they're flying within the United States, they'll get on TWA in the old days, or American or United, okay? So Nixon's on a Russian aircraft. The band is playing. He's just boarded the flight. He's done the wave. He's sitting in a seat with his military aide. He's sighing relief because he signed this thing. And then all of a sudden, the plane's not going anywhere. It's just sitting there, and the band's still playing. You know, usually these things, door closes, wheels up, nothing's happening. And finally, the Russian commander of all the Air Force walks into the compartment where Nixon is sitting, along with the pilot of that plane. And he said, "Mr. President, I'm very embarrassed. This plane is broken. It cannot fly today. And this is the man responsible. What do you want me to do to him?" He says, "What do I want you to do? Promote him." I said, "No, Mr. President, I don't think you understand. The plane is not working. There's a defect, and we cannot take off. And this is the pilot. What shall we do with him?" And Nixon says, "I told you, promote him." One of the rare instances of Nixon humor. And the commander said, "Why?" He said, "Because you discovered the plane was broken on the ground." Ta-da. Okay, just a little story to share. Okay, Judas checking in from Japan. Rick is saying, "I've traveled with a broken foot to Ireland and Scotland in July. I was so impressed with wheelchair access in a wildly congested airport." Well, Rick, you had a legitimate reason to go in a wheelchair. So why wouldn't you, right? Okay. Well, here's some work. Lots of wheelchair flights, especially to Florida, witnessed many miracles. Yeah, exactly. By the way, the most notorious miracle flight airport is not far from here on the eastern coast of Florida. That's West Palm Beach. Wheelchairs in airports are not just for those with disabilities, though. Senior citizens with low mobility. Well, it's the same thing. I applaud that. I embrace that. It's the people who are scamming it to get to the front of the line. Okay. 73 in Los Angeles. All right. Hi from Michigan. That's Lorena. Okay. Here we go. Melissa says hello from Reno. Okay, Ben says, "I flew from Atlanta to London to Miami. The LHR connection was one of the best I've had with the new X-ray machines." Well, congratulations. All right, Palm Coast in Florida from Diane. Hello from Barcelona. Lorraine is saying, "Just leaving a river cruise on the Danube. Travel was good, no real issues. Slight delay only. Bags arrived okay." Well, Lorraine, let's call the Guinness Book. Congratulations. Sean is saying, "Just returned from San Sebastian. Our US dollar, was strong like bull." It's strong like bull everywhere these days. You're right. Okay, Virginia Beach is checking in. So Savannah. Okay. Hello, Russ. Hello, Innocent. Great name. I love that first name, Innocent from Tanzania. Okay. Lena says 10 days between Lisbon and Porto. Any other towns we should stay overnight, or just split the trip between the two and do day trips? You answered my question with your question. Just do those two cities and do day trips. You will never run out of things to do. And if you're in Porto, go to one of my favorite restaurants. It's called 1756. I've been there 4 times already this year. That's how crazy I am about this restaurant. But order the salmon tataki. You'll be thankful you did. Let me know how that works. Oh, and if you're going to Lisbon, go to Pop Sorta for the best dessert ever, otherwise known as chocolate mousse. But not chocolate mousse in a small little champagne glass. We're talking chocolate mousse in it like this. So be prepared to have a nap afterwards. Okay. Okay, April wants to know, any comments on the state of domestic flights? Still hearing there are a lot of cancels. Well, not hearing, there are. Last weekend, over 10,000 delays or cancellations. It's going to happen through September 8th. That's hopefully the magic day. Hello, Diane York, my old buddy Diane from Newport Beach, California. Okay. Cheers from Tucson. That's Camilla. Beverly saying heading to London in a few weeks, connecting to Copenhagen with carry-on. Yes. Okay. Patty's saying barf bags are no longer on planes. Well, actually they are. They're just not in every seat back. If you really got to go, they'll help you out. The worst ever idea ever. Remember a couple of years ago, they put ads on the barf bags? Like you're actually going to read it? You're busy doing other things. Okay. Waters, I don't have an answer for you on that. We don't know when Japan is going to open up for independent travelers. An update, though, on Hong Kong. It's still a quarantine situation. They've gone from 14 days down to 7, now down to 3, and that's at your expense. And you got to get tested both ways. Not good. Okay. Thank you for that nice note, Jonathan. And I appreciate that. Okay. Wow. Adrian says, in 1960, I flew Pan Am, 4 propellers, I hope, LA to Sydney. Well, you stopped in Hawaii, I know, and you probably stopped somewhere else, probably in Guam. That was the old way they used to do it. But in any case, those are the days when Pan Am owned the world. We miss those days. And by the way, if anybody's in the New York area and you want to really have a great experience, go out to Queens on the border of Long Island, the Pan Am Museum. Unbelievable stuff. And of course, try not to go in the gift shop because you'll do damage. It's great. Okay. Zora wants to go to Antarctica. What company would you recommend? Well, first of all, it depends on how much money you want to spend. It's not an inexpensive trip. There's a great company called White Desert. That's really the high end. Of course, Abercrombie and Kent, also excellent job. Or you can do it in conjunction with an expedition cruise, not just a cruise ship where you're sitting there looking at it, where they actually lower the Zodiacs with people who know what they're talking about, and you go ashore. Silver Sea does a great program. I've done one with them. So does National Geographic. Ponant, the French cruise line, also does it, but I'm partial to both National Geographic and Silver Sea. Okay, hello from Tucson. Okay. Okay. David says he's drying out in Fort Myers. Well, that's where I am. Lynn says Northern Lights is why you go to Iceland in the wintertime. Actually, where you really want to go for Northern Lights in the wintertime, the Faroe Islands, halfway between Iceland and Denmark. Remind me to tell you more about that in another broadcast. Okay, here we go. You know what? Let's go to the photo, not the photo, the photos of the week. First, a shout out from last week when we were in the air and couldn't do it. This is a great shout out of the week to Jesse Lichtenstein. Look at that shot. Isn't that great? Perfectly backlit for a change. And it was great. Sunset in Kenya. Can't beat it. And nice of them to gather just for you. Jesse, congratulations. And the photo of the week from this week, from a vantage point I see all the time when I'm there, that goes to, we got it right there, Karen Planet. There it is. She sent this photo of the change of the guard right there in Athens in the Maid Square. The reason why it's a vantage point that I see is if you're ever at the Grand Britannia, it's got one of the best bars in town because if you go up there on the roof, you're looking right at the Acropolis. And if your window is facing the square, you get to see this just about every hour. Very, very cool. So thank both of you, to Jesse and for Karen. If you got a photo of the week you think qualifies, you know what to do. Send it in to us. We'll be glad to post it. We appreciate that. Let's go to some of the questions you sent in during the week. Linda says, my travel agent sent me a confirmation for a flight to Berlin with a connecting flight in Zurich with a connecting time of 2 hours. I checked with the airline. There's a different flight confirmed with a connecting time of an hour. I told her I was concerned and she said I could get on the next flight if I miss it. Total garbage. You can get on the next flight if you miss it if there's space on the next flight. We're still in summer. No, you're not saving an hour here. You're saving a day by taking the one with the 2 hour connection. Because if you miss the first one, hey, enjoy Zurich. Okay? That's all I'm trying to tell you. And if worse comes to worse, take the train. All right, here's one from Sunny, who enjoys my radio program. This past Saturday, you spoke about a quote that was in your hotel in SFO, and I loved it. The quote that was in my hotel room. I'm going to have to figure that out, and I'll get back to you. Japheth says, when will you come back to Tanzania? Pretty soon. I'm going to head back there in the next month and a half, so I'll let you know when. Kathy, what are the requirements to enter Spain for a U.S. citizen? Proof of vaccination, valid passport for at least 6 months. You're in. Okay? Lynn says, when will this airline craziness get better? Well, actually, it's not the craziness getting better. It's the craziness getting less bad. And that'll be after September 8th. Brian says, I'm doing Carnival Celebration inaugural cruise November 6th. What's it like in November? Well, you didn't tell me where you're cruising from or to. That would be helpful to tell you what port. If it's out of Miami, it's fine. If it's out of New York, you're going out of Brooklyn. It'd be interesting to see where you're going in November. I don't think they're going to be doing a lot of cruises in November from Brooklyn, but we'll find out. Okay, let's keep going here. Geraldine says, hello from Chicago. Should we confirm a car rental for travel this mid-September to Orlando? Absolutely, but here's how you confirm it. It's not just going online and getting that confirmation. Once you get that confirmation, pick up the phone and call the actual franchise location, speak to the manager, get his or her name and their email address, and then confirm it as a confirming email because you're just confirming the conversation that you just had with them. And bring all that paperwork, print it up. My favorite word on my printer is print, and then bring it with you, right? You want a paper trail here. Okay, let's keep going here. Hello, Alice. Hello, Patty again. Hello, Corky. I agree, Corky, that it's great Northern Lights viewing. And by the way, everybody wants to go to the Blue Lagoon there. Go to the Sky Lagoon. The minute you go there, you'll see why I'm telling you the truth here. Okay. Drew says, do you think by September Heathrow airport conditions will be better? Yes, after September 8th. Hello from Lake Worth. What is the most outdoorsy scenic spot to visit close to Berlin? Heading there in October. Well, the first thing I do when I go to Berlin is I take a cruise down the river. It's a beautiful way to see the city. And then what I do is I go shopping. I go shopping at one of the most amazing department stores in the world, which rivals Harrods, guaranteed. It's called KaDeWe. You also eat there too. They have entire floors devoted just to food. So great. Okay. Okay, Tara says, considering a solo cruise early in July and my 60th birthday. Okay, happy birthday. We'll talk about next year, of course. Embarking from the East Coast. Any recommendations? Well, if it's July, there are not many cruises departing from the East Coast. They'll do their fall foliage cruises, late August, early September, or going up to the Canadian coast. But July, that may be a tough one, unless you want to go to the Caribbean, and that's okay. Or Bermuda, which is not in the Caribbean for those people who have a map, but they also leave from New York. So, what I want you to do, Tara? Come back to me with 3 or 4 choices that you think you'd like to do, and then we'll fine tune it together. Okay. Okay. Joan says, greetings from San Jose. I spent several vacations in Sanibel before the hotels were built. I know what you mean. Only cottages there. Best shelling in the world. Early 70s. Yep, we're getting over there. Don't worry. Okay. Brian says, should I take my seat chances on Air Canada Montreal to London with 242 configuration or pay $115 for exit row? I'm 6'2". Brian, you just answered the question. You better take the exit row. All right. Now, with airlines these days, it's all about the upsell. I get it. But you didn't tell me when you're going. If you're going in November when the plane is lighter, then you won't even have to pay for a lot of those seats. But right now, it is about the upsell. Tell me when you're going. That would be helpful. Melanie says, hi from Miami. Hopefully going to Venice September 26th to 30th. We are using Marriott Miles to stay for free at the Gritty Palace. Nicely done. That's nicely done. Okay. Have not been to Venice before. I would appreciate your suggestions for breakfast places. Well, I know the place I always go to for breakfast in Venice. I know you mentioned that the breakfast buffet at the Gritty is 54 euros each, which means $54. But this is the time to splurge, but not at the Gritty. Go down the street to the Daniele and eat breakfast on the roof. That's where you want to go. Or if they're serving breakfast at the dock at the Europa Regina, very small hotel, go have breakfast there. Okay. But if you're ever going to do breakfast once in your life in Venice, do it on the roof. You'll thank me. Okay, the Daniele. Okay, welcome again in Tanzania. Thank you for that. Wow, Mike Lucan says, August marks my 20th year in the cruise business. Congratulations, Mike. By the way, right now, there are over 2,000 cruise ship itineraries where your daily cost, the average, is under $100 a day. So it's a definite buyer's market. You can't wake up in Pomona for $100 a day if you add in all your meals. So it's a great deal. Okay, here we go. Robin says, how about the landings and takeoffs at Tegucigalpa Airport in Honduras? There are about 12 difficult landings in the world. One is Paro over in Asia. One, of course, is St. Martin. One, of course, is St. Bart's. One was the old airport at Kai Tak in Hong Kong, not the new one. But the one in Tegucigalpa is let's call it what it is. It's a bitch. And in fact, if you're a pilot for any of the airlines, you are not allowed to make that landing as the pilot unless you sat in the right seat for at least 4 other landings. So you get a feel of how crazy it is. You're absolutely right. Tegucigalpa, hold on tight. But those guys know what they're doing because they had to go through 4 or 5 landings watching everything before attempting it themselves. Okay. Janine wants to know what time of year to go to Mexico City. You know what? Any time of the year. But if you're not looking for the crowds, go shoulder time, October. Okay. Here we go. Gina wants to know West Coast to Barbados, JetBlue via JFK, or AA via Miami. Same 2-hour connection time. March 2023 spring break week cruise. Okay. Well, now that you're saying you're connecting to a cruise, keep in mind that if you're going from the West Coast to Barbados, it means you're taking a night flight, connecting to a daytime flight, and that your bags have to connect over those 2 hours as well. Tough, because my suggestion to you then is, let's say the cruise is leaving on a Saturday. Don't take the red eye on Friday night. Take the red eye on Thursday night so that you'll get to Barbados sometime late Thursday afternoon. So in the event, or in the distinct possibility that they lose your bags, you have a day to get them before the ship sets sail. Give yourself a day in Barbados. Never fly to a cruise. And by the way, I would have given you this advice before the pandemic. Never fly to a cruise on the same day the cruise is leaving. You're asking for problems. Okay. Here we go. I'm going down here.
Gentlemen, you're skipping lunch.
I'm on the air, please. And then, okay, hello, Rose. Yeah, getting up on landing and walking off. I get it. Tim, greetings from Atlanta. Hello from Venezuela. Wow. Greetings from Iris Salazar from Queens, New York. All right, hello, Iris. Lots of people check in. Cheers from Redondo Beach. There we go. And Peter Renzi Peter saying he's watching me from London. And has enjoyed the world tour of Tanzania. Okay. Should I be concerned about flight cancellations this September? You should always be concerned about flight cancellations, but I tell you, it's going to get better. It has no way to go but up after September 8th. Okay? Diana says, one of my favorite Southwest Florida restaurants. I will get back to you on that because we're actually running around all day today and tomorrow doing an episode for Travel Detective on PBS. We're going to talk about that. Okay. Okay, Gail came back to me with her Panama Canal cruise. They all leave from either Florida or California. That part I got. But the real question is, it's not just the transit. Where will you stop between California and the Panama Canal or between Florida and the Panama Canal? That makes a big difference. Okay. Is New Zealand open? My understanding is it is. Diane says, any idea when Japan will open? We talked about that already. Adrian now says, stopped in Hawaii and Fiji and Cairns for refueling on that famous California to Sydney flight with the 4 propellers. Long, long flight. Okay. All right. Condro, my buddy from Botswana. How are you, sir? Nice to hear from you. Um, Tim says, is there any place in the world that you haven't been that you want to? Yes. There are 196 countries in the world. I've been to 152 of them, that leaves 44 to go. I'm not in a race. I don't believe in just touching an island and saying I've been there. I actually want to immerse myself and be there. But the one I've got my sights on this year is Madagascar. Haven't been and want to go. I want to go before they cut down all the forests too. Okay. Hello, Gene from Pennsylvania. Okay, we're moving down here. We talked about the Antarctica cruises. Look, they're expensive. I told you that. This is for Zora. The bottom line is you can do Hurtigruten, but they're expensive as well. Look, this is a big ticket item experience going to Antarctica. The logistics are crazy and they're intense. But I have to tell you, having done it, I'll be doing it again this year. It's worth it. We'll be broadcasting from there this year as well. Not easy to broadcast, I might add. Okay, Corky says I got an 8-hour layover in Madrid. Stay at the airport or go see something. We only have carry-on. Well, if you only have carry-on, you know what? Call a nearby hotel. Talk to the concierge. This is where concierges are great. Have them meet you after you clear customs. You'll be zipping right out. And at least give yourself 3 hours to see something fun. It's not just going to the Prado. You can do that. There's so many other great things you can do in Madrid within 3 hours and still make your flight back, okay? But have the concierge at a local hotel do that. Arrange for the car and driver. It'll be a little pricey, but guess what? You're not on a tour bus. You're going to actually go where you want to go. Okay. Tim wants to know what's going on after September 8th. Why is that a magic date? Very simple. Kids are back in school. We've gotten through Labor Day. And the people who are staying a few more days after Labor Day. And historically, that's when things settle down. It's as simple as that. Okay. Okay. Oh, now he's answering the Carnival question. I'm on an inaugural cruise, new ship to London to Miami in November. What's the transatlantic like in that direction? It's a rough crossing. There's a reason why the transatlantic crossings only happen between April and September. The North Atlantic can be very tough in November. It can also be flat calm. I had not seen that lately, but just know you're on a positioning cruise to get the ship back to where it's actually to start doing real revenue cruises. So be prepared for some possible rough weather. Okay. Joy wants to know what is done with all that lost luggage. Well, I can tell you where a lot of it goes. There's a small little city. I won't even call it a city. It's a small little location in Alabama called Scottsboro, Alabama. And there's a store there the size of about 3 Walmarts. And the name of the store appropriately is Unclaimed Baggage, Unclaimed Luggage. Brian Owens, who runs it, just celebrated the 50th anniversary of the opening of that store. That's how much lost luggage ends up there. And by the way, it's all for sale. Because it's luggage that could not have been reunited with its owners. So check it out. You can even go online. This is even crazier. They have an annual ski sale. They have annual fashion sales. Half the clothing that they sell there still has price tags on them because people plan their vacations with new clothing. So check it out. You can even buy online. It's nuts. But that's where a lot of it is going. All right, guys. Listen, I've got to run. We got a show to shoot here today. I will see you next week from a distant remote location. Not here, but you'll see me next week. I'm not going to tell you where. It's going to be a fun guess. It'll be somewhere in the United States. That's my last guess, but not here. But I'll see you then. In the meantime, of course, some housekeeping notes. Royal Tour of Tanzania is still on the air on PBS. You can always access it all the time on Amazon Prime and Apple TV+. Same thing for our travel show called The Travel Detective. Now season 7 is on the air. We're here shooting season 8. And Hidden Turkey is on the air as well as Hidden Poland. Get ready for Hidden Canary Islands. That's premiering in October, followed by Hidden Saudi Arabia, and then Hidden Ireland. So we've been busy. We've been traveling. That's what we do. But I'll see you on the air, on CBS, on streaming as well. And of course, our radio show every Saturday, Eye on Travel. Check your local listings if you can't find a market in your area. Easy to do. Just go right to our website, petergreenberg.com, and we stream it live starting at about 10:05 a.m. Eastern Time every Saturday morning. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you next week.